folk. I'm out and about again, trying to find pockets of clarity in the sky. I just completed, after about a half an hour of trying to find variety of different stars to do my 3-star alignment to, with drifting clouds overhead, and now a second day post full moon rising to the south and to the east. We're having a view of Messier 31 and 32. Let's do a little bit of a zoom in on it. Not bad positioning after a 3-star alignment. There is our Messier 32, a class of elliptical galaxy that's actually quite small, maybe about 8 to 10,000 light years in diameter, that is orbiting precariously, perhaps in several billion years, around its much larger neighbor, Messier 31, the co-capital regent galaxy of our local group of galactic space. Okay, like Messier 32, to the 9 o'clock position from the core of Messier 31. This is a 10-second exposure with multiple stacks. I like 10 seconds because within 30 seconds, roughly, you can get 3 stacks. Notice the stars are looking pretty bright. Let's see if they're elongating. Oh, by the way, of course, we have Messier 110 here in the lower right. Let's check out the way the stellar disk look. They look pretty sharp. They're not elongating. We are not losing our view to the mount not being able to track carefully, because I've done a relatively exacting job of counterweighting the mount in both the right ascension and declination axes. Notice we're only seeing the 2 nearer dark lanes in Messier 31. Typically, we get to see the further dark lane as well, off rotating around to the 12 o'clock and then finally to the 9 o'clock position. There's hints of it, but there's a reason we're not seeing it. It's that moon. Anyway, let's go on to a few more adventitious studies for the evening. Having to navigate around visible clouds being highly illuminated by that near full moon disk to the south and the east. As you can see, some luminous clouds, although semi-transparent, are moving through the field. We got a nice positioning of Messier 110. I do believe I remember the name of another satellite galaxy of Messier 31, and that would be NGC 147. Let's hope it's in a better position in the sky where there are fewer clouds, but there's our view for the evening of Messier 110. Well, we are getting splashed with luminous clouds in the direction of NGC 147, which is actually in kind of a southern Cassiopeia location, but probably maybe 5 to 10 degrees from Messier 31. I'll do a little zoom in just in case we can make it out. It's a fairly low surface brightness, brightish galaxy, and we are probably being washed out on it this evening, possibly in this region right here. I haven't tried adjusting the histogram at all. The quality of the screen image is good enough. We're just not getting a very decent view due to the high thin clouds, and quite possibly we are getting a vague view of NGC 147 right there. I believe the next one is 206. We'll give it a shot, however. Well, I kind of got that one mixed up. NGC 206 is an H2 cloud region associated with Messier 31, which his core is off to this side here. We are getting lots of clouds, pretty much washing it out, but I would say that knowing that there's a triangular relationship between the core of 31, 32, this H2 region is probably located right about there, although it's not centering up particularly well. What we're seeing right now is the spiralicity of face-on galaxy, annular galaxy, Messier 51 and NGC associate. I did have a view of this last night. I did not bother to post it up because I was plagued by even more high thin clouds than we are right now. we're getting a very definite sense of its spiralicity. We're seeing it at 30x right now. When I go to 50%, we're now up to about 60, I think 75x, so we were at 35x previously, 37. This is a pretty decent view given the conditions we're viewing under. I could play with the histogram, but I won't. Let's push it up to 150x and then get a much better view. I think this view is far superior to anything I got the previous evening. You can actually make out the wispy extension of one of the spiral arms being dragged off in the direction of its satellite neighbor. A very nice view. Let's go on to some more Messiers, because I think in general NGCs are going to be a bit problematic this evening, except for this one right over here, which I think is 5864, but that's just throwing it out there. I'll have to verify that on the manana. Right now we're having a look at Messier 101, a larger face-on spiral than Messier 51. And this beauty is located in Ursa Majoris, I believe. Let's do a bit of a zoom in and catch its spiral arms at 75x. Looks like we got either an H2 region or a neighboring galaxy here, possibly here as well. There's all kinds of texture in this face-on spiral galaxy, which I will gather more details on the manana. Anyway, here's our 150x view. I am tempted to play with the histogram just a little bit to see if we can bring out more structure. Perhaps pushed it a little far now. No, let's go back in the other direction. Heading to the right. There we go. Let's back out on our magnification to give it a little better view. How's that for a practically full moon evening plagued with passing high clouds? Things are looking a little better to the north and to the west. However, the sky is being illuminated by the near post-full moon. Clouds seem to be pushing a little bit more to overhead and to the south and east. Not a bad view of Messier 101 given the conditions. This is Edge-on Galaxy Messier 102. Nice slice of a galaxy careering off from the upper left to the lower right. There's probably other galaxies in this region as well. Let's push it up first to 75x. We are not seeing the dark lane bisecting it at this point. If we push it up to 100% e-zoom, we're beginning to see the dark lane right there. At 100% e-zoom, we're operating at 150x. This particular galaxy turned out to be, as if I can recall it, turned out to be a little smaller than I expected in terms of extension. I was looking for something more along the lines of 8 to 10 arc minutes, when in fact it's more like 4 or 5, but let me verify that on the manana. So there is our view of Messier. How's it go? 102. Well, despite the presence of clouds drifting by, we can see NGC 3172 Polarisma Borealis, 14th magnitude galaxy. It's a good bellwether of seeing conditions. It's always great to be able to turn it up, and for those of us living in the northern hemisphere above, let's say, 30 degrees or so in northern declination, it's visible year-round because it's within 1 degree of the North Pole. Here we're having a view here at 75x. We push it up to 100% or 150x. We can see the core. We're not seeing much more than that. Some vague extensions. It is an elliptical galaxy, so we're not surprised at it. Looks like we just made a huge leap after another pass in terms of the histogram. I will darken up the image a little bit here so it presents a little more aesthetically pleasing. Let's go to 2300 and its neighbor too as well. Okay, this is what clouds look like when they get seriously thick. I'm going to give it a moment and see if they can drift past the region of NGC 2300. Here we're trying to have a view of Messier 109, but a local amber street lamp is casting its vague, actually quite bright orange amber glow into the optical tube assembly. Here's our view anyway, Messier 109, very small and compact. All we're seeing is the core and core region, but it is a Messier, should give a better view than that. We're operating at 150x at this moment. We're 10 minutes into this video. I have less than 5 to go. What we are looking for here is NGC 4236, and I do believe it's right there on the screen. Let's do some zoomage and see if we can pick it out. 75x, not a particularly good view. Ooh, there's some luminosity across here. We'll go up to 150. That will pretty much play it out as for our view this evening. Let's go after something in Cassiopeia now, NGC 40. It's a nice, bright central star with a halo of luminosity ring around it, planetary nebula. Okay, NGC 40 is quite apparent on the screen. It has a very distinctive reddish-orange color. Here's our 75x view of it. Planetary nebula can usually stand a good deal of magnification. Here's our 150x view, and it should continue to develop texture as we get more and more stacks. It's got 4 stacks now. Let's push it up to 200% e-zoom. That's our view at 300x, much more egg-shaped than I usually see it at, probably because of the magnification. You can also tell we are now getting a crosshatch matrix pattern, which means we've magnified beyond the resolution capability of the ZWO imager. However, let's push the envelope a little bit further. 300 now is some 450x. Central star is about a magnitude, well, it's less than 12. I think it's 11.6, and the planetary as a whole is about 10.9. Quite a nice view. How about an open cluster? Probably what they call, it's the closest open cluster to the North Pole, and it's NGC 188. Let's go to that next. So here is our low power, dark background sky view of NGC 188. Now, most open clusters do not have much in the way of longevity. This one is so far away from the galactic core that it's probably between 6 and 7 billion years old, which is quite astonishing actually. Open clusters are typically picked apart by gravitational tides from the galactic core, and in this case we've got many, many, many faint little stars. Push it up to 75x, plus some brighter foreground stars as well. So here we have it, NGC 188. I'm almost 14 minutes into this video, and we need to find something to go out on. Well, you might guess what you're seeing here. We've centered on NGC 869. This is the famed double cluster in Perseus that somehow managed to evade the annotation on the part of Charles Messier or his associate Machine. 869 is here, and I believe it's 884 is the other cluster there. Since I'm operating at 10-second exposure time, I am not able to simply reposition them in the field easily. I can, however, increase the magnification. Here's a very reddish star here. Maybe it's a Wolf Rayet. I do not know that for sure, but we're seeing a couple of them in the field. So a very decent view of the double cluster pair in Perseus. And I do want to track down one more study, NGC 881, before we bail. if it's feasible. Well, folks, 881 is just too far afield. It actually is below the horizon, but I decided to turn up NGC 2300, and I believe this is 2278 for a view. We're now past 15 minutes, but I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, center our studies up, and call this our Carpe Noctem views for the evening. So there we have it. Adios, Carpe, seize the night.